Afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining CDBG's third Thursday at 3, our May edition. We are going to be talking about BABA today, Build America, Buy America. Some administrators may have seen us discuss this at our recent administrator training, and I thank all of the administrators who attended that training early this April. It was very effective, and we received a lot of great feedback that will inform future trainings. Just as a reminder, we're looking in the future to do administrator trainings around like April and maybe August of each year. So think in the next couple of months, we'll send something out about another administrator training, and we'll focus on some of the areas that we received feedback on at our previous administrator training. A couple housekeeping things before we get started on BABA. I want to remind everyone that currently we have 3 programs open and ready to receive applications. Commercial rehab, housing, and regional water are all currently open and ready to receive applications. We have received a few commercial rehab applications to date. There will be publicly announced once we have a decision on whether to fund those. We have not received any housing applications, so if anyone's interested or preparing to submit a housing application, please reach out to us so we can assist you through that process. One other thing, Salesforce is going to be our main portal for processing applications as it was in 2023. I believe there's a new sort of sign-in process, but the Salesforce buttons, the application buttons should be working on our website. I would encourage all administrators, people who think they're going to be applying at that September 30th deadline, to get in there, test around with Salesforce, make sure you got access, make sure you can see applications, and then provide us some feedback if you're having trouble. We know some people have reached out to us, they've had a little bit of trouble, then some people it's working fine. So please test the Salesforce application buttons on the website, get back to us with any feedback, and let's get any of these bugs fixed before the application window really gets open and heavy. One last thing. From Tim, environmentally focused. There's a new radon rule in effect. Is this in effect for just housing?
Nope, everything.
For everything. There's some information from HUD Exchange out there. We are going to be forwarding everyone an email with, I believe, a webinar attached as well, and just some guidance about radon and how that impacts environmental reviews. But this is a new rule from HUD in effect for 2024. And if you have any follow-up questions, once you see that email, please reach out to our environmental specialist, Tim Parks. Okay, and one thing before we get started, just want to say a big thanks to Tim Parks and Jessica Pierce here as well. They have been on the road conducting monitorings very frequently over the past month and a half and into next month as well. So many of you have seen them, and I just want to thank them for the effort they have put into that. It does take a lot of teamwork to get these CDBG programs across the finish line. So thanks to all the administrators and thanks to Tim and Jessica. All right, with that, we will get started. We'll be sharing our screen for a PowerPoint. Please, if you cannot see it, let us know. Are we sharing the right screen in?
Yes.
Okay, here we go.
All right. Hello, everyone. For those of you that do not know me, I am Jessica Pierce. As Andrew said, we will be discussing Build America, Buy America today, affectionately known as BABA. At this point, I think you've pretty well met all of us.
Yep.
But there we are.
There we are.
I hope Jenny's on today, but everyone else, we're around. So BABA was enacted towards the end of 2021, and it establishes the Build America Preference, or the BAP. BABA will applies to all infrastructure projects as of 2023. It only included iron and steel. HUD implemented a phased implementation schedule shown here. So like we mentioned, for 2023, iron and steel were the only products that were included. Going forward for 2024 allocations, BABA will also include any other metals outside of iron and steel lumber, composite building materials, and PVC tubing. Glass, drywall, and other construction materials will be subject to BABA in fiscal year 2025. And 26 will include essentially all manufactured products.
Yep.
So know that it's coming. But for now, we are iron and steel. And then any 2024 are those other metals, lumber, composite building, and PVC.
Yep, so any projects we award at the 9/30 application deadline this year will be subject to iron and steel plus these other materials.
So BABA applies to CDB projects with a total project cost of at least $250,000 containing iron and steel right now, as well as those other ones going forward. So again, iron and steel for 2023 projects, all specifically listed construction materials for the next round in 2024. All right. So the Build America preference does not apply to projects not containing the iron and steel. Those with projects of a total cost less than $250,000, projects utilizing CDBG funds obligated before November of 2021, and any projects that are CDBG DR, CDBG MIT, or CDBG CV projects.
And for us, that'll just mean that all those the 15 CVR projects we have currently, no BABA will apply to those projects.
So, as Andrew has said, as far as the Department of Commerce is concerned, we are under the BABA will not apply to youth job training, housing rehab programs, or any of the CVR. So some of those pre-award considerations when you are looking to award a contract, please keep in mind the costs and availability of the products covered by the BAP, the Build America preference, as well as the impact that could have on your pre-engineering and your pre-architectural reports. Post-award, after award, please consider documenting the product's country of origin to ensure your compliance, as well as your bid requirements. So for example, that language, which we'll go over again here later, but that's required to be in your bid packet, and the contractor's requirements, which includes the construction contractor's clause, as well as the architect engineer BABA certification. It is always important to document compliance. So a few ways to ensure you comply include ensuring that the products delivered include the proper documentation, certifying compliance with BABA. You can obtain a certification from the manufacturer that the products comply with BABA. Ensuring the basic elements of compliance are documented, which would include project name, location, and number. And finally, obtaining and maintaining a bill of lading, invoice, or purchase order, which sufficiently describes the products, would also comply. An attestation statement should be included, referencing the AIS, the BIL, and the IIJA requirements. All of those are written up there for you. Architect engineer contract should include obtaining and maintaining all BABA documentation, particularly the manufacturer certifications during construction. These documents are then transferred to the recipient or the grant admin for compliance. The architect or engineer will need to certify to this action at the project's end. This slide is especially important. It explains the language that is required to comply with BABA, and this is at a very minimum. The following language should be included in all construction contract documents. Not going to read all that. We'll send this out to you guys.
Yeah, we'll send this language out afterwards in the PowerPoint.
So there's the language, and then also keep in mind contractors must provide manufacturer certifications for all BABA compliant items to the responsible party before a request for reimbursement to the agency is made. So there are waivers that are available. These are the 4 or 5 general waivers. These waivers will not require HUD approval, and they should always be considered before you look at a project specific waiver. So BABA general waivers include the de minimis, small grants less than $250,000, or those with a portion comprising of no more than 5% of the total cost of the project's products, up to $1 million. exigent circumstances. So products that have an urgent need to protect life, and tribal recipients. This waives the BABA for tribes, tribal designated housing authorities, and other tribal entities.
We have a chat.
We do.
Ooh,
Are you ready for a
hello.
question?
Yes,
Okay.
Andrew
so
is.
Rosemary asks, will CDBG provide the certification form for the engineer or architect to complete?
I'm working on a sample. I've got it out to HUD right now, so I hope to be able to send out forms that you guys would be able to use. Not yet, but working on it.
Yeah, and in terms of these waivers that people are going to be applying for, we do have a list of the grants from 2023 that meet that small grant waiver based on total project funding. We do have a few projects under 250,000. The process would be to still submit a letter to us requesting the waiver, and we will have more information on that process soon. But yes, if you have a project with less than 250,000, we'll potentially reach out to you fairly soon to get that documented. Is there another question?
Rosemary says, thank you.
Click the link at the top.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Okay, we have a link up here and we'll show you all what the waiver platform looks on BABA or on HUD's website.
So HUD has an entire section on the HUD Exchange dedicated to BABA waivers. Starting with the general waivers. Again, these are the waivers that do not require HUD approval, but do have to come through the Department of Commerce. So if you scroll through, it shows you can click on each one specifically. Nope. Go back up.
Okay.
Go back up. There we go. And it'll go into greater detail about those general waivers.
That one is one I think everybody would want to know. So we're clicking on the small grants waiver.
This is the actual docket that was filed. So this is legalese if you want to read it.
No,
No,
not today.
don't.
Next slide.
All right, so this comes the fun part. Project-specific waivers. These waivers include public interest, non-availability, and unreasonable costs. Again, these waivers would have to go directly, not directly necessarily, but they would have to go through HUD for approval. Think me. So this takes you directly to the project-specific waiver for HUD on their website. And it gives you, again, more details and determinations here. You can go back to the PowerPoint right now.
So this is where you would submit the project-specific waivers, and they do have materials and webinars that help explain how exactly to do that.
So as you've seen, HUD has launched a new online service for submitting project-specific waiver requests through their website. They have also released a user manual and training videos to assist with the process. You want to click on the link up there, we'll take you directly to the grantee user manual. Hopefully.
Yeah, this is actually this is helpful.
So the manual is written by HUD for their specific
Waivers.
program, yeah. But it takes you through step by step how to submit a project specific waiver. And it includes, it'll have pictures. It tells you down to when you need to click the next button. So if you follow this, it's going to be a more simple process. Not too simple because nothing's simple with federal assistance, but it is broken down into great detail. If you look at the manual before getting in the system, you'll know what you need to have to ensure this goes smoothly for you. It is important to remember and plan ahead. These waivers will take up to 6 weeks for review, and they must include a 15-day comment period. this is just a sample certificate of compliance from the architect and engineer side. This is the form that I am working on currently. And we'll get out to you guys as soon as we have something approved. But this will be signed by your architect or engineer upon substantial completion. And they will hand this certificate to the grantee or grant admin at that time. Another, of course, important slide to note, grantees and subrecipients should include this language and any NOFOs and procurement bid contract documents to ensure BABA compliance by subgrantees, developers, and or contractors. And again, we will send this information out so you can read that and take that as needed.
And we've added this language ourselves to all future contracts we have with communities.
So based on feedback and questions from the administrator training, we were able to obtain clarification on a few points from HUD. So one thing to keep in mind is that the threshold is total project cost, not just federal financial assistance. General waivers will not be required to be approved by HUD. However, the Department of Commerce CDBG staff will need to review and approve. Maintain all documentation of compliance in your project files. How many times have I said that now? Maintain your documentation. And finally, if you receive federal funding through multiple sources, such as the Department of Commerce, KDHE, or KHRC, any waivers should be submitted through the agency that contributed the most funding. So with that, we will open it up for questions. What do you guys have for us? Anybody?
Any experiences with BABA so far that anybody wants to share?
Everyone's stay quiet today.
I can't remember how to put my hand up. Can I ask a question?
Yes, Crystal.
Okay. Will the monitoring packets be updated again to show what you're expecting in our files for BABA?
That would be a good idea, yes.
Yes.
Can you explain a little bit about the public interest waiver?
Let me go back and check it out.
While she's looking at that, I will say something generally from conversations we've had with HUD, Anna's had with HUD at conferences. They are going to be pretty tight on approvals for waivers in general, right? Because that's what we've heard at conferences. There will be obviously some waivers will be approved, but from what we've heard, overall, they're going to be fairly tight with what they approve. So public interest.
Will you go to my slide?
Yes, hold on.
So yeah, those project-specific waivers, the public interest, non-availability, and unreasonable cost. So they're saying if the Build America preference would be consistent with the public interest.
I would say it's probably supposed to be inconsistent.
Inconsistent. I got this from HUD, so you know.
Okay.
I do think, yeah, I'm guessing if it's the Build America preference would be inconsistent with the public interest.
That's a rough one.
I'm gonna have to look up that one up
Yeah.
for more detail because that was what was out there.
Like
Non-availability.
we survey the public?
I doubt that.
I don't think it's something that simple. No.
I didn't think so either, but I was trying.
I get it.
Maybe, I don't know, maybe it's a small community and this would increase the cost or something on the community to some exorbitant amount, I guess, but that would be under unreasonable
Yeah.
cost. So, yeah, we'll look into more about the
Yeah.
public interest. But again, not being able to think of examples of that off the top of our head, we'll try to find some examples and get those out to people. But I would have to say, based on conversations we've had with HUD, it would have to be substantial public interest involved to, it's hard to even think of an example of this unless Tim can find.
I'm trying to,
Yeah, they are very, if the general waivers, if you believe a waiver should be used, the general waivers should be considered first and foremost and period.
Yeah. Something in the chat?
Yes. So the question is, on the KDHE projects we have, the engineers take care of submitting the AIS certifications to KDHE. They are to supply those to the city, but we usually don't see them. without updated AIS certifications, KDHE will not process a payment. Sorry, it was more of a statement than a question.
Understood.
On the website, it's at HUD.gov, public interest waiver. Grantee should explain how waiving the BABA requirement for this project or product serves the public interest. Demonstrate definitive impacts on the community if specific items, products, or materials are not utilized in an infrastructure project. Still not a lot of clarity, but that's what they are saying on the website.
Yeah.
So inconsistent with the public interest.
My train of thought would be if you're looking at a project specific waiver, try and fit it under one of the other two.
Yeah, they're more logical.
Yes, yeah. Anybody else?
And I think, yeah, to Rosemary's point about KDHE, it looks like KDHE will not process a payment unless you have those AIS certifications.
So they want it at
Yeah.
each time.
Yep. Yep. Good to know.
Want me to take care of it?
Any other questions on Build America, Buy America? Again, for the 2023 projects, it's AIS, American Iron and Steel. For the 2024 projects, it's going to include these other materials. So if you're working on architects working on a PER for a potential application, make sure they are considering these factors and these potential costs when developing their application so that we can come as close to the actual number that we need to fund as possible. And then looking forward to 2025, you're moving into this. But for 2024 applications, all of these need to be considered. And it goes across all of our projects too. I mean, it even involves commercial rehab. It involves community centers. It involves, architectural barrier removal. Hopefully not too much of it in one of those programs, but really any of our big programs, water, sewer, community centers, you definitely need to factor this in prior to the application. So you're not cleaning it up afterwards.
I think it's important also, kind of like Andrew mentioned, but it's important to make sure in your documentation that you have it very specific as to which section you fall under. And to know that technically this phased implementation is a general waiver. HUD considers this a general waiver.
Yeah. All right, any other BABA questions? Going once,
I think I put them all to sleep.
going twice. I know BABA's,
It's riveting.
they love any of the cross cutting, section 3s, environmentals, BABA. Easy way to put people to sleep. If there are no other BABA questions while we're here, does anyone else have any other questions related to any other projects that we could address while we're all here? Or applications or anything?
They're just quiet today.
Nothing?
Nothing at all.
Okay. All right,
We tried.
if people don't have any other questions, we can cut it a half hour short today. As a reminder, we will send out this PowerPoint. This PowerPoint's a little bit different from the one we did at the administrator training because it has links on it that take you directly to those portals. So if you're looking at the old PowerPoint for BABA stuff, replace it with this PowerPoint because it'll have those links in there. Jessica Pierce is going to be our BABA specialist moving forward. So if you have any BABA questions as they come up, please shoot those over to Jessica. Anything else?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I have a general comment.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the information. It's been very helpful.
Sure, Jay.
I just wanted to just express some concern. Obviously, the CDBGs have been a big help for us in the past, and hopefully we can continue doing that. We've just had trouble when we have a CDBG component to a project, even getting contractors to bid at all. All right. I'm just letting you know that
Yeah.
it's been a restriction for us. So our developers who we work with are hesitant given the CDBG requirements in general, but now they'll be even more so. It's just a concern, all right, that I just wanted to express. And then, and obviously we'll work with it as much as we can, and we will. And this information is very helpful in trying to make it clearer to everybody, and less mysterious and scary. But it has been a problem for us to get contractors. So I mean, we don't get bids on some of these.
Yeah, we appreciate that feedback, Jay. Certainly wasn't the greatest thing we heard last year when we realized we had to implement another cross-cutting regulation upon CDBG. But we appreciate your commitment to compliance, and reach out to us if you ever have any individual or specific questions about any projects or any way that we can help. But thank you. All right. Anyone else? Final comments or questions? All right, we will put the recording online. So if someone in your office or needs to watch it in the future, they'll be able to find it at our website. And we will also get this PowerPoint out to everyone before the end of the week. Okay, everyone have a wonderful week and a wonderful weekend.
Bye, guys.